Hey there, I'm the MadCatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, the name Logan Paul strikes fear into the hearts of many a domestic animal, and we're not going to talk about the alleged scams that he's been allegedly involved in. We're going to talk about his terrible, pathetic track record with animals. So buckle up and let's go. So I'm here with Sybil the Enforcer. And Sybil says, please like and subscribe. We're on our way to 19,000. We just passed 18,000 subscribers. We need your help to grow. I know that half of you are not subscribed. Yes, you. Please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it sure would help us. So Logan Paul has had some issues with animals, both with pets and with non-pets. And he's been called out a number of times. And in fact, one journalist published an article questioning whether or not Logan Paul might be a sociopath because of his lack of empathy and feeling and his apparent lack of emotion in dealing with animals and the fragility of their lives. And here's the article. So this article is pretty interesting, and this person goes on to say that he's, made headlines for a number of bad behaviors, and we all, or most of us, have probably heard of the infamous forest in Japan where he callously made content involving a passed away individual, which is very disgusting. He later went on to apologize. I personally, after observing a lot of his reactions to the loss of the lives of some of his pets, questioned whether it was sincere or not. But anyway, so here's this article. It says that they talk about the whole Japan thing, and then it says that he uploaded a video of him tasering deceased rats in his home and giving CPR to a live fish that he dragged out of his koi pond. It says it's clear that he's not learned to respect the passed away and feels that a little animal blank is okay as long as it gets him views. He was called out for those two incidents, but those aren't what I feel are the worst of the issues. But you'll see here that Seth MacFarlane, who a lot of you may know from like the Family Guy, he really called out Logan Paul for making content tasering deceased rats, which I find extremely disgusting. And for some reason, Logan Paul thinks that that's okay. And then you'll see in this video clip that he took and built a koi pond. One of the fish, I think it was having some health issues or something. He pulls it out of the pond, puts it on the ground, and then melodramatically says, oh, I should give it CPR or something.
We gotta get him, bro. He's still breathing.
Dude, that's Goldilocks.
He's still breathing.
Yo, I feel like putting him on land is not...
What do I do?
No.
CPR?
No, dude, I think...
No.
Putting him
Put
on
him
land is
back.
worse. Put him back in the water.
Okay.
It ends up going back into the pond. It ends up being deceased at some point later. But just, and again, no empathy, no emotion, and I know people are going to say, oh, it's a fish, but, it's still a living thing, okay? And most people, if they care about something, when it passes away, they don't react with that kind of cold, callous absence of empathy. But the three main issues that I want to talk about, those are not the worst of what I think his history is. So recently he's made headlines because his pig that he formerly had, Pearl, that he bought with his former girlfriend, and it was supposed to be what they call teacup pig. Now I looked, and apparently teacup pig does not mean mini pig. It means a pig under a certain weight. So Pearl, I guess, technically was a teacup pig, even though she grew to be big. And, shame on him for not doing his research and knowing that. But what's even worse is when he moved to Puerto Rico, he says that he couldn't take the pig. And I did look, and to be fair to him, I looked up, and Puerto Rico does have a law that says you cannot import hogs into Puerto Rico and even from the mainland U.S. So, I get that. And he allegedly rehomed the pig to a ranch, and then supposedly the ranch rehomed the pig to a farmer, and that's where everything went south. But I still fault him, okay? You didn't have to move to Puerto Rico. You went for tax reasons. He said it himself. He made a commitment to Pearl, and he abandoned her, okay? And yes, I know he rehomed her, but he still abandoned her. I wouldn't move. If I couldn't take my cats with me, I would not move. Okay, he went to Puerto Rico. Why didn't he follow up on her care? Why didn't he make sure she was okay? You know, why did Pearl end up in such a deplorable state where her life was in danger? And thank God for the Gentle Barn for rescuing her. God bless them for saving Pearl's life and bringing her back to good health. But, you know, it just, you make a commitment to an animal, it's a lifelong commitment, okay? They're not props to be used for clicks and views, right? But the next two are particularly tragic. The first one is he had adopted a parrot, which he called Maverick, and that's what his whole brand was built around. The Maverick brand was this parrot who became very famous in social media. And unfortunately, Logan Paul has a history of negligence with animals, in my opinion, and allowed Maverick to fly freely around the house. And one of his big dogs, I think it's a Mastiff or was a Mastiff, ate the bird. Okay, and I think it's disgraceful, first of all, that that situation was even allowed to happen, because clearly having a bird flying freely around the house isn't a good idea in any scenario. But with big hunting dogs and things around, definitely not a good idea. And so allegedly Logan was crushed, and I'm sure he did care about that bird, but you know, he never seems to really mourn the loss of an animal. And in fact, that's what's discussed in that article where they're questioning whether he's a sociopath, because his lack of empathy and emotion when he loses a pet or towards life in general. So we've seen it with human life and we've seen it with animal life. But he also adopted a Pomeranian, which he called Kong. And what happened was he was at an event with fans and he saw one of his fans had this Pomeranian. And Logan just was like, oh, I've got to have it. I got to have it.
Guys, I'm literally in love with this animal.
Can I have it?
I don't know. You have to ask the owner.
Can I hold it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, look at this dog. Oh, God. I'm in love. I'm in love with this dog.
He offered the fan $2,500. And as the event progressed, the fan finally agrees to sell the Pomeranian to Logan. Logan names it Kong. But, you know, I would say to the fan, who sells their dog to some stranger, even if it is Logan Paul, at the drop of the hat like that? It's like, someone could offer me $1 million for Sybil. I would never, ever sell her. I don't care how much money is. She's basically like my child. They're all like my children. But so Logan Paul adopts this dog. He named it Kong. Now, Logan has acknowledged that he's aware that where he was living in Los Angeles area, there are a lot of coyotes. And I remember from living out there in the hills, I could hear them at night sometimes, echoing like in the canyon and stuff. And yet, knowing that, negligently one evening, he went out to dinner, and I guess someone in his house, or I don't know, left Kong the Pomeranian out in the yard. It was a fenced yard. After dark, which is when coyotes come out, and 2 coyotes jumped the fence and took the dog. That's just negligent to me, you know, to not supervise your dog when you know that it's dangerous. I don't care if there's a fence around your yard. You know, it wasn't, he at one point claimed it was like this high spiked fence. It's just a picket fence. And the gate wasn't as high as the rest of the fence. It didn't appear in some video I saw. But anyways, what really disturbed me is he then later went on to podcasts, I don't know whether it was a couple years later, and told this story. Now, there's some controversy because at the time, they claimed that no remains were ever found. And yet, he goes on this podcast, and I'm going to show you a clip of it in a second, where he talks it's weird. It's like he's talking about it like it's a thing, you know, not like it's this dog that he cherished. And he makes this story about how they found the animal's head. That's not what he had originally said. So there's discrepancy right there. But he claims that he was so incensed. He learned the behavior of the coyotes and he decided he was going to get his revenge. And for 2 years, he stalked them with a crossbow. And then 2 years later, one night, he happens to see a coyote and he shoots it. And it becomes deceased. And it's like, so basically, he's taking his vengeance 2 years later out on an innocent, probably, coyote, which I find disgusting. But the way he talks about it, and now I'm going to show you the clip, and you tell me what you think.
Some people in the comments had tipped me off to a story that Logan told on Jeff FM, friend of the show, great guy, beautiful hair. Love you, Jeff.
We can't get the dog.
I'll give you the dog one.
Bro, this story's gangster.
My dog got eaten by a coyote.
Kong.
Little
Pomeranian.
Little tiny Pomeranian. He was barking at the coyote. He sensed something was on the other side of the gate, and I'm gonna be honest, he was provoking, jumped over my 8-foot-tall spiked fence in LA. These things are nimble. Came into my yard. Now you're trespassing. You've broken a law in my eyes.
Yeah.
Killed my son's small golden dog head found in my yard.
Oh my God.
They decapitated my dog. So now I started paying attention to their behavior on my Nest cameras. I noted their size. I noted their hunting patterns. I noted their territory. And I made a vow that I was gonna hunt down and kill these coyotes.
Yeah.
I sat there for 2 weeks every night. I have stuff to do, bro. I sat outside for 5 hours a night. They never came. I started to lose motivation. It took me 2 years because every time someone would see a coyote in the neighborhood, you know, you live in LA, it's, oh, I just saw a coyote, everyone would be like, oh, I had the reaction of, I'll get it. So, I probably chased coyotes around the neighborhood like 5 times. Sure enough, one day, my girl at the time comes home. There's a coyote outside. I was like, where is it? She's like, it's outside. I slowly mark my aim at this coyote and I'm following. It's 9 p.m. at night. Goes into the shadows. I did not account for this. Do a crossbow scope at this hour. You can't see anything. He gets across from me. I see a spark on the ground. The arrow hits the ground. So I go to get my arrow, and I pick it up, bring my flashlight out, turn my flashlight on, look at my fingers. Oh, that's crimson. I walk to the end of my street, about 40 yards, and there's the coyote.
So you see the clip. It's just so weird. They make it into this like melodramatic, like it's just disturbing to me the way he talks about it. You know, even 2 years later or 3 years later, one of my cats passed away, and if I talk about it, I still get choked up and tears come to my eyes because that's how much I loved and cared about them. So it just bothers me the way his whole demeanor is around this issue. And, you know, again, that goes back to that article that I showed you guys. So it just goes to show you that he's just got this really bad history when it comes to his concern for animals, his care of animals, his decisions around animals. And he also at one point had some rare albino turtle, which after he got bored with it and got his social media use out of it, in my opinion, rehome that. So, you know, I honestly would never sell him or give him an animal ever again. I just don't think he's responsible when it comes to the lives of animals. But let me know what you think down below. What do you think of all of this? What do you think about his history? What do you think about poor Pearl? And do you agree or not agree that his clip where he talks about his dog just seems kind of odd? Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you to our Patreon patrons. You guys are awesome. I don't have anybody to thank for the Amazon wishlist today. If you'd like to be thanked, the Amazon wishlist is down below. Thank you to our channel members. You guys are so great. You help offset the costs of this menagerie of cats that I have, rescue cats. I really, really appreciate it. You just can't imagine how much. And thank you to everyone who supports this channel. Please like and subscribe. Half of you aren't subscribed, like I said. Please subscribe. We're trying to keep growing. I would really appreciate it. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and your pets. And I will see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.